Welcome to the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Frischner. This is your daily digest college basketball show that covers everything you need to know about your favorite team. From game previews to recap to press conferences and breakdowns, we have you covered. Every Monday through Friday with your morning commute, wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Welcome back to another episode of the Rebound Rundown. As you just heard on that intro, this is a show that runs every day during the college basketball season, but as we get ever closer to opening night, been trying to do more content with coaches from around the country. And today on our weekly show, we are checking in with Zach Spiker, the head men's basketball coach at Drexel out there in Philadelphia. Zach, thank you for taking a few minutes today to talk about the program and your off season. It's great to catch up with you.
Paul, great to be on your show. I've heard a lot of great things about it, and looking forward to talking basketball, in particular, Drexel basketball, Philly Big Five basketball today.
Let's do it. So as you were coming on, we were making sure to get gratitude, respect, and compete right there above your head. We were making sure that was in frame. So I want to start there. For people that are listening to this show that maybe haven't followed Drexel before, I have a pretty, I would say, majority Midwest following right now, but I've started to ease into the East Coast. And for people that don't know about what Zach Spiker does at Drexel, what is gratitude, respect, and compete?
Well, it's just kind of our core values, and they're all over our building. They're all over our gear in certain times and certain places. But, very simply, these are great opportunities we have as college basketball coaches to impact the lives of young men. Also, as coaches, as athletes, the opportunity we have. So I think we need to have and show gratitude as much as we can. Never delay it. Show it right away, but appreciate the opportunity that we have ahead of us. As this landscape is new and constantly changing and evolving, we have this year with this team and this group, and then we have to kind of regroup and see where it goes from there. But this team, this group, let's appreciate the time and opportunity we have to make the absolute most of it. So those are our core values. Respect the process. There's a couple ways we look at that, Paul. You want to be great, you got to respect the process in terms of work ethic and how much time and effort you want to put in. You can't expect more and do less. Excuse me. And then the other one I would say is you got to respect your teammates. We've got 4 different countries, excuse me, 6 different states in our locker room, a lot of different perspectives on things if you're willing to listen and learn. So if you can get along in the locker room, you can be in a really good spot. The other one is compete. It doesn't matter if you're in the weight room, study hall, class, individual workout, practice, whatever it is, are we trying to be at our best? So we, simply, if we show gratitude, appreciate the opportunities, respect the process, and try and be at our best, we feel that can make for a successful basketball program as a staff and athletic department. And that's kind of our mantra and what we live by.
So you said something there to start off that answer. I graduated from Xavier in 2019, and you said never delay gratitude. That was something that Skip Prosser talked about a lot. You were the 2016 Skip Prosser Man of the Year. What did you, through the years, through your interactions, having heard things from him or picking those things up, is that something that really stood out to you?
I just think the more you talk about gratitude, the more you appreciate. I mean, I just maybe I've gotten older. I don't know if I knew that from Coach Prosser. I mean, that was a tremendous honor to be given that award. It's not something you interview for. And I think that we had some success on the floor, and it was surrounded by a great coaching staff that probably is a little bit off balance in terms of an individual award, where it's probably a coaching staff or a program award. But I do love that mantra of when you appreciate someone and what you do. As I've gotten a little bit older, I say it right away as best I can.
All right, Coach, let's get into your team and what you had to do this offseason to build for this season. Going back to last year, what were some of the things that you wanted to highlight as you attacked the portal and as you entered the offseason? What were some of the things that you were looking for to build heading into this season?
Yeah, I think a lot of coaches will take time and they'll say, all right, we lost this position. We need to get this position, this type of player. And we think that way as well. But, I've had a chance to be at other schools where you were reloading every year at Cornell University and West Point. And when you're in those situations, you got to start with character and the things we talked about: gratitude, respect, compete. So we talk about those things to our prospects, to our recruits. We're doing Zoom calls just like this with guys. So we're looking for people that are going to reflect what we've been about when we've been at our best. So sometimes it's almost like we're reverse engineering some things. And, well, now let's get to size, height, weight, length, impact defensively on the ball, whatever those metrics that we value are. But we try and start with those things, and we call them OKGs. Chris Peterson had an incredible football program at Boise State many years ago before he went to University of Washington, and that was one of his things. Was they're recruiting in the shadow of the Pac-12 at the time, and he just wanted to find our kind of guys, whether their 40 time was a little slower or whatever those metrics were that everyone else would kind of ooh and ah over. They found guys with their kind of guys, and they went and had a big Fiesta Bowl win, had a great run. So I love that phrase. I love those words, OKG. It's on all of our recruiting evaluation forms. You look at these different things. What can they offer? What's their attitude? What's their body language like? Points. Can they get a bucket? Can they create for other guys? All those different things that we as coaches look at. But at the bottom right there, there's a big spot that says, is he OKG? And I can't always describe it, but we're looking for our kind of guys and people that appreciate what Drexel has, what it's about, and they're excited to be here.
Has it become more difficult for you to identify your type of a player when you only might have a week or two to evaluate them out of the portal, as opposed to 2 or 3 years recruiting them out of high school?
I think the window certainly is much smaller. But we've had great success with small windows in recruiting. Cam Winter, probably the best player I've had the chance, and our staff's had the chance to coach here at Drexel, was, we found him in late April at the Pittsburgh Jam Fest, and he was on campus in May and committed. It was enrolled in school in June. So you've got to be patient, but you just don't want to sacrifice that, because if you get the wrong guy in there and really can mess up your locker room, it spills over onto the floor. And that's what we like about this year's group. Right, with Eli, Dylan, and Moses and Martin, that it's a group that I think is really bought into what we're doing, and they've got great energy, and they're super excited to be here. A lot of their stories and journeys are different, but all in all, they're excited to be here and can't wait to be a part of our program.
Yeah, I think that's a great segue here to talk more specifically about the portal and those 4 guys that you went out, had to identify and recruit to Drexel. Tell me more about them and what you think they're going to bring to the team this year.
Yeah, I'll start with Martin Delaporterie from Bordeaux, France. An easy name to say. I just call him Martin. But, Martin is a 7-foot, 4'5", great wingspan, good IQ, good feel for the game. He's lean, but he's not skinny by any stretch, and has done a really good job early on here, contributing on the offensive end, knowing how to play, good rebounder, good length, and I really love his foot speed. So I think he's a guy that can play the 4 and flex to the 5 as we need, based on our personnel and how we want to play. And we love the length, but his excitement level. There was a podcast. Some fans at Drexel that cover our program pretty regularly had all these guys on, and they were talking about it. And he was just so excited about campus, so excited about our facilities and what we had to offer, and just couldn't wait to be here. So I think that's the first thing that jumps out with these guys. But we love his length. He can shoot it. He's a lefty, and he's a willing defender. And I think those are things that doesn't matter where you are. If you've got someone like that who wants to be in your program and comes to work every day, it's a big thing.
Yeah. And then to keep going down the list there, some of your other talent that you added out of the portal, I'll let you go as you want.
Yeah, that's fine. Moses Hips is a guy, local Philly guy. We had a dance out of high school and almost landed him at that time. And I think both Moses and I, when we reconvened this time, kind of rehashed some things, and we both kind of wish we'd had him here right away, but things happen for a reason. He was a freshman at Boise State last year, redshirted, and I think Coach Rice does a tremendous job with that program. That's a well-coached, well-run basketball program, so We've got Moses, who spent a year, what I would consider, annually a top 50, maybe even a top 25 program at Boise State in the Mountain West. To have Moses here, local Philly guy with some roots and connections back here. He's super excited to be back in Philly. Very, very hard worker, very good shooter. When he's had time and space in practice, he's made people pay. And we all know at every level, you need people who can stretch the floor, and he can very much do that. Our other two guys that I'd love to tell you about, Dylan Tingler, who's from Hurricane, West Virginia. And I wouldn't count that, Paul, Midwest, but you probably have heard of that area. Went to Huntington Prep. Our guys kind of joke with him, is he from Hurricane or Hurricane? If you know, it's Hurricane. But he's had a great personality. He got some length, was at Eastern Michigan last year, and started some games, played in a lot of games, had a little bit of reserved role. And I think he'll have a bigger role for us. When he's been healthy, he's really been able to get to the rim. He's been able to score at different levels, and he's got good length. He's about 6'6" plus, and we're excited for what he adds. Had some health issues this summer, but I think he's hopefully on the mend and coming back.
When you're from the Midwest, you're used to pronouncing towns differently than how they look. Versailles, Versailles, yep. Milan, Milan. Like it's just. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't really roll off the tongue. So I appreciate that. Yeah. Hey, go ahead.
You just kind of sent me on a tangent. I've got a list of some Midwest guys I had a chance to coach and recruit over time. So
yeah,
Adam Gore was from that Monrovia area near Milan, I believe, in Indianapolis. But we'll come back to that in a second. Our fourth guy that we signed last is a guy that I think has a chance to really impact our program. And it's going to sound interesting to say this, but he's 5'8" in that area, and I think he could really impact us on the defensive end. It's Eli Beard, who spent the past few years at the University of Mary Hardin Baylor in Texas, Division III school. And I think the numbers that jump out for him, right? Just career 42% shooting. I think that translates to every level. I think rebounding and shooting can translate. So he'll have to adjust to some length and some different athleticism levels being thrown at him, which he has in practice already. But Eli's got a spirit. He's got a spirit about himself that, a phrase I learned from being at West Point and being around some really good coaches and coaches that coach there, and Coach Krzyzewski. He's a force multiplier. He makes people around him better, whether he's scoring or passing, facilitating, or just helping defend and be in a gap. He's got that spirit. He's got that energy. And, he wasn't able to be on the floor last couple of days of practice before we broke camp, and you could tell there was a difference there. So he'll be back. We're excited to have him. And I think those are all four guys that fit. They're all OKGs. They appreciate and respect our process, and they make us better. So we're excited to have them.
What are some of the things you look for in a coach and an undersized player defensively that maybe you put them in spots to succeed, or that you want to see out of them when guys are on the smaller side?
You got to impact the ball. You got to impact the ball handler. You got to make that guy nervous, turn his back, whatever it may be. But whatever you lack in length or size and not athleticism, but in size, maybe down low in the low block, you got to have it in foot speed and hand quickness. And Eli's got that in spades. And so he brings that. You got to have a dog mentality. You got to be nasty, and he's got that as well.
All right, to stay on the roster here, highlight some of the returning talent that you have, Coach, and some of what you're excited to see that you already had on the roster that you can bring back.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people that have seen us play for a number of games, it'll probably start, and most people will be really excited about Shane Blakeney, right, who had 24 points, led us in scoring our last game against Towson. But I would take it a step further, depending on where you are, Paul, in the analytic world. CBB analytics, his last 5-game splits were really very impressive. Shot the ball at a high clip, was able to score down low. 6'5", can be a primary ball handler and get us into some things, and also has that length that you can really defend and do some things with. So he's up top of our press and did some things for us from a deflection standpoint. So, I think we're excited about Shane, just like we were a year ago. No one knew no one truly outside of our program and maybe a little bit of our league was aware of what Kobe McGee and Yame Butler were capable of. And now they've gone on to play there in the Big East and the ACC. We think Shane has that same chance to really impact, and we're super excited about him. A little more known than the other guys coming into last year. And so we're looking forward to Shane. And I think he's going to be flanked by some guys that have some experience. Garfield Turner didn't play last year, some unfortunate knee issues. I think those are cleared up. He's really a huge physical presence and force for us. When we had Amari Williams on our team, who's now with the Celtics, Garfield finished out a couple of those games because it was a little bit of a better fit for us when they were both on the roster. So to have that presence, have that physicality and experience, we're super excited to have Garfield back. So I would start with those two, and then I would give you two other names to be aware of, and actually three. Victor Panoff has had as good and consistent an offseason anybody at 6'7", 4'5" for us. The last 5 games of the season, we ended on a 5-game winning streak. He was starting at the 5, exclusively playing that position, and really helped us a great deal. So we're looking forward to what Vic can do. He shot the ball at a great rate this summer, and didn't have a great rate shooting the ball from 3 last year. I think that he can take a big jump and really make teams difficult when you've got a 4-5 that can really stretch the defense. At the guard spot, Paul, Kevon Vanderhorst had a good year for us. Only played half the season with an injury, right? And he was a guy that I think with a full year could have had an even better season, but we're excited to have him for the full year. And then at the point guard spot, Josh Reed, Philly product, Philly native, probably added 10, 15 pounds of muscle to an already chiseled frame. He's going to be a downhill dog with the basketball that can get to the rim, get to the paint, and finish at the foul line when need to. So those are the guys. And then I think you can think about William Garcia-Adson, who had some big minutes for us late. So there's some length, there's some position flexibility, and we're excited about this group, and really looking forward to getting guys back on campus here. We start later. I don't know if you know this. Our first day of class is September 22nd. So we just finished our summer session, and now guys are off for a little bit of time, and they'll come back and we'll be ready to go.
So when you talk to other coaches about that delayed summer session, are you getting funny looks on how do you structure things, or is it just no, it's a few weeks later? Because I mean, most of these guys have been going right since first week of June, and it feels like a year-round season now.
Yeah, it's a different calendar, but you can adapt it and we can mold it. Everyone has the choice to use their 8 weeks how they want to, and we've chose to push our 8 weeks a little further back based on our sport performance team. We've got a really good athletic trainer in Stephen Kim and a strength and conditioning coach in Palmer Johnson, and we met with them last year to kind of map things out, because you just don't like taking all of August back, and then you've got a really short preseason. You don't allow for some soft tissue slippage that you may have something when they come back, and then you got to nurse it. So we went a little deeper into August, small window right now, and then we'll be right back at it. But we had a long break from Memorial Day to 4th of July area that the new guys got here, but the vets, we gave them a little more time off. So yes, our calendar is different, but no one cares. And everyone's going to be ready to play on November 4th this year, I think. So we're super excited for this group to continue to grow. I do think this will be our 10th season here at Drexel. This is maybe one of, if not the tightest group off the floor that we've had a chance to coach. And I hope that translates to being more connected on the floor.
Well, to see that through the summer, right? Because in years past, players would go home and they would maybe do individual training with a trainer, and then they'd come back when the school year starts and you'd get together as a group. You'd maybe do a few things, but now in the last several seasons, everything is opened up for all the coaches to be able to essentially, like I said, put on a year-round sport. And I think there's been some good and some bad in that, where you've seen some injuries crop up of players that are getting hurt in the preseason more and more, but also players now you can see the skill level and the cohesion of a team by the time the first week of November rolls around. It looks a whole lot better than maybe it did 10 or 15 years ago when there wasn't that going into the season. So I'm curious from your perspective, Coach, how you have approached building. You talked about it a little bit there, but maybe how you've liked it as a coach, and you've been able to see it. You've been around this game for a long time. Have you liked the way the sport has gone to that year-round calendar, or are you just adapting with it and you think there are things that can still change?
Yeah, I think Paul, it's a double-edged sword. We have more access, we have more opportunities to do things. It also creates more situations where whether it's, injuries you can't control sometimes, but maybe there's burnout and different things. It's a long season. And I'm not sure if we should be blowing our stack on something on August 5th when it's really important that it's done on January 5th and even March 5th. So I think more access doesn't mean you should do more necessarily. It means you've got more opportunities to be connected in a lot of ways and skill, as you say. So you got to manage your time, and you got to be mindful of that. And I think whether you have more or less access, the margin of error is always incredibly thin for all the teams in our conference. And you want to make sure you want to get to the starting line where you've got your best group available. And that's what we're trying to do as a staff, and also push them in a conditioning space and push them in an offensive understanding of what we're looking for. And defensively, are we connected? Are our rotations good? Can we guard the basketball? So a lot of ways to do it. At the end of the day, talent, right? As one of my old coaching mentors, and Jeff Myers said, a lot of ways to skin a cat, but talent's got to be your knife, right? And how do we use the summer? We use it to get better. We use it to build trust and reinforce and establish our culture. How do you do that? It's not always done on the floor. It might be a cookout at my house. It might be a wiffle ball game against some kids in the neighborhood. It might be last Friday, I believe, we were on the Schuylkill River with our coaching staff from our crew team, talking to our guys about everybody rowing in the same direction. And first off, it's hard, physically demanding, more demanding our guys thought, but there's a lesson in that. We eat lunches together all the time. Our players lead conversations, and they set the topics, and those are meaningful moments and conversations. So there's a lot of ways to grow, and we've got to continue to look and find those ways to do that, so that we're the most connected team on and off the floor.
What's a cookout look like at Coach Spiker's house? What's on the grill? What are you doing?
Well, first and foremost, Zach Duffy, who's been with our program going on the 5th season now, he's in charge of the menu, and everyone knows I need to be away from the grill if we want to have a successful night. I could do a burger or a dog, but when it comes to feeding, your entire basketball program and 20 plus people, it starts with Mission Barbecue.
Fantastic place. Love that place.
It's good. It's good. But some neighborhood kids, some of my son's friends, and they'll come over, a little competitive wiffle ball game. I think it ended this year on a walk-off grand slam by the Dragons winning, which was talked about a lot in the neighborhood, I believe, afterwards. So little ping pong, some cornhole, some spike ball, a little combination thing right there. But guys love it. It's great to have them over. I do it as much as we could, but I don't think we have Mission Barbecue every time.
That's right. So you mentioned Amari Williams a few times in the 23 minutes that we've been talking here, and obviously that's a name that sticks out to any Drexel fan that's listening to this. But also you look at some of the other talent that has transferred out of your program in the last couple of seasons, and they've transferred up. They've been able to have some success at the next level. How proud does that make you as a coach to see the success that players have had once they've left your program? Because I think some coaches may get frustrated immensely when you're constantly having to turn your roster over and constantly having to look for new talent. And maybe sometimes it goes underappreciated what players do once they leave. To you, how do you view it, and what are you proud of?
Well, I think when you make the connection in the recruiting process and the guy comes to your school, commits to you, trusts you, and they get better, and then opportunities come for them to move on to a unique situation, especially now in this NIL era. It's hard to turn that care off and, hey, I don't care about you anymore, right? So it's also hard, there are feelings you wish they stayed, but you're happy for them and you want to see them have success and appreciate them. So I think I've evolved as a younger coach, certainly assistant coach. You get a little bitter and mad, but then you think about where guys are going and what they're doing, and I'm happy for them. I'm happier for them now than I was maybe 12 years ago when you're at West Point and you're trying to dig and scratch and claw. Early on, we had Tremaine Isabel get here. He was here with us for 1 year, then transferred to St. Louis and took St. Louis to NCAA tournament. And Travis Ford, I think, forever loves him because, he needed that NCAA tournament that year. Alejan Demir, right, was with us for a couple years and then transferred to Minnesota. So we've had a lot of guys, TJ Bickerstaff, Drexel, the Boston College. We've had a lot of guys over the years go to other situations. And, I think it really speaks volumes. I mean, Xavier Bell, first team All-American Conference player this year for Wichita State, he transferred back home. He was with us for 2 years. We went to the NCAA tournament. He wanted to go back home. I went to Wichita this spring to recruit. And he and I are joking about he wants to pick me up and take me to the airport. So those relationships, I don't think they go away. And specifically with Amari, super happy for him. I think he had a great year at Kentucky. He's been very busy as of late with the Celtics, and we're texting some. And I'm hopeful to get up there to see him at some point. But he's already saying, "Hey, Coach, when you guys play Northeastern, I'd love to stop over and see you." And if you can't stop people from going in this climate, in this landscape, and they're making big adult level decisions financially, what's best for them, you want them to look back fondly on their experience and their time with you. And for him to text me and say, "Coach, I can't wait to see you guys when you're in Boston Northeastern," I think that's what it's about. So I think we as coaches all need to evolve, and we've got to invest and pour in the guys you have that are there. And if they feel it's time to move on, you can certainly have a conversation with them. But in some of our instances, we've had 6 guys, Paul, in the last 2 years move on, and they've had an earnings of $3 million combined. Right?
That's fantastic.
So I'm happy for him. I'm proud of him. I miss him. But I mean, Amari had a great year. Justin Moore year, cut a little short with a knee injury, going to be back at Loyola better than ever. I mean, he stopped by this summer to say hello and see our trainer and make sure things are good with his knee when he's home. And then you got Kobe, Yame, Cole, and Deuce. I think those 4 guys are going to have great years this year. And it's a credit to our staff. It's a credit to how we develop guys. And I'm hopeful that people are talking about Josh Reed and Horace Simmons the same way they talked about Kobe and Shane and all of our guys. So we're going to keep evaluating. Ultimately, you got to have a staff that's able to turn over every rock. I mean, we got guys from France, from junior colleges in Arizona, Yavapai Junior College. We've got guys from Division III schools, guys that played Division I that didn't have a bunch of numbers. We knew them and were aware of them because of their high school performance and what we saw in the AAU. So we're taking notes every time we're out, not only on guys that we like for now, but hey, I like that guy. He's going to go somewhere else, and let's keep an eye if we can get him on the rebound.
I had Darren Horn, the head coach at Northern Kentucky, on the show earlier in the summer, and one of the questions I asked him was about burnout in the current coaching ranks. And I think that the more I've talked to coaches this offseason or that I've heard, there have been some coaches that, talk about the difference in what the sport used to be versus what it is now. But the answer that Darren gave me on the rundown on this show was very poignant to me because he said, "Paul, I feel re-energized. I feel like I'm more energetic about this than I've ever been because it's a new landscape and you have to embrace it if you want to stay in it." He has, and Northern Kentucky's performed very well, under him. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective, this new landscape of college basketball, has it re-energized you? How have you shifted around with you and your staff, what you prioritize and what you look at?
Yeah, no question. I think that's a great answer from Coach Horn. I think there are times from a daily basis you got to stop and pause and kind of make sure your batteries are properly charged. But I do think everybody has their own take on this right now in terms of it doesn't matter if you've been coaching for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. It's only everybody's just 2 to 3 years into this new landscape, right? Doesn't matter where you are from that standpoint. And I think that with that, everyone's got a bunch of different ideas and ways to attack it. No one way is right or wrong. And so if you want your players, your staff, your administration, your department, and the university all be on the same page, here's what we're going to do. Here's what's best for our group, and let's go with it. And I would agree. I think once you get that group known and it's really locked in, it's very energizing. It can be a little bit tiring finding that group, right? Because you're pouring over synergy, you're pouring over film and all the analytic reports, trying to find OKGs. But when you do, yes, it's exciting to get guys that are excited and want to be at your school and are excited for the opportunity that you have.
You said something there. You're talking about alignment, right? From the president to the AD to the head coach, and now maybe more than ever, how important that is. For fans that don't know or appreciate, how important is it? On the surface, it sounds obviously vital to have that support from everyone around you, but maybe now more than ever, how important is that to have everybody on your side? And like you said earlier, rowing in the same direction.
Yeah, I think if we look at things from a 30,000-foot view and basically college athletics, I think we always model what goes on in the NBA, right? Maybe a few years later, or there's always a trend, whether it's the action or how what we wear on the sideline or how we kind of manage our days. A lot of it comes from what takes place in the NBA. Maybe people want to admit that or don't want to, but that's the trend that I've noticed, right? Well, the most successful organizations, right, in all of pro sport, whether it's the NBA or NFL, there's alignment with the owner and the general manager and the coaching staff, right? And I think that we're no different. College sports is turning that corner into that space a little bit, and everyone wants to be aligned and understand what are we trying to get done. And we all want to win a championship, but there's a lot of ways to go about doing it, and how we're going to do it really matters. And Drexel's a school with experiential learning. I think we're still talking about the idea of taking foreign trips when other schools are probably saying, hey, I don't think we want to do that. We want to spend those resources in another way. Well, Drexel is about experiential learning. A foreign trip is experiential learning. And I think that those are different things. So it's a long answer to your question, Paul, but yeah, it's critical that you're aligned, and whether it's in college or pro sports, that everyone's on the same page. And I think we've got that with Maisha Kelly as our athletic director and President Merlot as our president.
All right, let's shift gears a little bit here. A couple more questions before we finish up, and I want to talk about the Big Five. Philly, obviously, such an important piece of that city and the culture. And I'll let you take it however you want here on what the Big Five means to Philly and to Drexel, and how it fits in to the current landscape.
Yeah, I think for a long time, Big Five basketball has meant everything to Philadelphia people, and it was the five schools. 3 years ago, we were added in the off season to be the sixth school. We still call it the Big Five. That's a branded name. That's Philadelphia basketball. That should never change. I think people wanted to change that. I, as Drexel, as the new team, I'm not in favor of that. I think it should be the Big Five forever. The Big Ten has how many teams, Paul? Not 10.
It's not 10.
Closer to 20 than 10, right?
Yeah.
The Atlantic 10, the same. So those numbers don't mean anything to us. We're just honored and excited to finally have that opportunity to officially compete in those games. We've played a lot of these teams before, as many as we can on our schedule. But we're super excited with this new format. It's very creative. You've got 3 teams on one pod, 3 teams in another. You play a home game, you play a road game, and then we'll have a crossover day when we'll have the 2 teams that are undefeated play for the championship. We'll have a first, third, and fifth place triple header at Wells Fargo. It's really a day and a time to celebrate the history of Big Five and Philadelphia basketball around the nation, and that's a day we're super excited about. That's going to be December 6th. It's always the first Saturday in December at Wells Fargo, which is now, I think, Xfinity or Comcast, or what is it? Xfinity Mobile is where the Sixers are playing. That just happened last week. So that'll be a great venue. We're lucky. We get to play 2 games there. We've got a game against Syracuse on our schedule as well. So just to segue outside the Big Five, we've got a big game against Syracuse early on in the season there at Xfinity Mobile. But we'll play Penn on Friday the 21st in our building, and then we'll go to St. Joe. I believe November 7th will be our first game against St. Joe. So St. Joe, then Penn, and then we'll play that Saturday crossover game.
Yeah, and Saturday, December 6th for college basketball fans in general is really shaping up as maybe the best Saturday of the non-conference season. There's a lot going on that day on the college football side. It's college football championship Saturday. You look at that first Saturday there, December 6th. It is it's quite the day in college sports. So that's fun to add that one to the calendar as well.
Good day for the fans. Good day
that's
for
right.
the fans, right?
It's a great day to take about 50 steps on your Apple Watch and just sit on the couch and take it all in.
Little picture in picture. Use that YouTube TV
quad box.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Looking at the schedule, you mentioned the Syracuse game. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to ask you about that. How did you build your non-conference schedule this year?
Well, I think we build it every year to kind of match where we are as our program. We're also trying to get as many home games and neutral site games as you can and create exposure for your players. And I think Coach Jason Allison, who's moved on to Coastal Carolina in the offseason, but that was one of the things he worked tirelessly on. We love the two games at Xfinity Mobile at the Sixers Arena with Syracuse in the Big Five Classic. We've got the two Big Five games, and then we've got a number of games. We're going to play at American, who just won the Patriot League. We're going to play at Colgate, who has won the Patriot League a number of years prior to that. And then we're hosting Old Dominion, right? Mount St. Mary's, who went to tournament last year. So I think it's a really, really challenging schedule that will challenge us. I think we've got a stretch where we go Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, which is that's a very challenging schedule. So not a lot of practice in end of November right there, but I think we'll know a lot about our team as we go into the holiday break with the schedule we're playing, the teams we're playing, and even the locations and how quickly we're playing them in succession.
All right, Coach, before we wrap up here, I'll open the door. Is there anything that I haven't asked you? Is there anything you'd like to talk about with your program that you'd like Drexel fans to know heading into this season, which right now is less than 2 months away? Crazy to think about.
I would say no, not really. I think you've done a great job, Paul. We're super excited. The DAC is a great venue. I think it's one of the best venues in Philadelphia to watch a college basketball game. Just 2 years ago, we've got a brand new scoreboard, sound system, ribbon boards. If you haven't been to our arena for a game, which I don't know if you have, Paul, we got to get you out here, man. We got to get you out in the DAC for a game. But it's one of the hidden secrets in watching basketball at this level. It's a very intimate environment. It's a great place to get here and really feel like you're a part of the action. So we'd love as many people as we can to come be a part of this inviting environment and make an impact on the game.
Coach, I'd love to make it out there. Hopefully at some point this season I can get out to Philly and get there for a game.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time today, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.